Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean, this is In The Mix, episode 81 of our Isle of Man series. We had a brief sojourn last week where we managed England. If you haven't gone back and watched that one season wonder series, go and check it out. It's got literally everything that could possibly happen in the world of Football Manager, all in a couple of episodes. But it's good to be back with the Isle of Man. I have missed the save while not playing it. We're in our second season in the Championship. We've got a whole bunch of different stuff that we need to go through. We've had a whole transfer window, which has gone pretty well. We've had tactical tweaks. We've got new players. We've got new coaching staff. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that we need to go through, and we're going to smash through it in this episode. So we might as well jump straight into the game now. So first and foremost, before we get started, of course, last season in the Championship, our first year, we finished down in 16th spot. Not the worst run in the world. We were expected to finish rock bottom as far as our reputation is concerned. And we look at our 61 point total. We're only 22 points off top spot Watford, who actually won the entire division. And we're only 7 points off Luton, who were the last team to scrape into the playoff picture. So even though we are kind of down towards the bottom half, we're not miles away from being a team that's ready to go. Now, we, of course, in that season, had a whole bunch of players that we had brought in on the loan market. Henry Doran was one. He was the first wonder kid that we've really had at the club. He was fantastic for us. 30 goals in 46 appearances last term. Now, I did put a tweet out about a week ago, which kind of was just a poll. It was asking people, is it better to go out and try and get people on the loan market again to try and push us up to the top half of the table? Or is it better to actually purchase players that we can try and keep in our squad? And they may not necessarily be at this current ability level right now, but if they eventually get there, we're going to own them. They're going to be on our books. We're going to be able to keep them for multiple years and then sell them on if we need to. And it was an overwhelming decision, overwhelming votes to actually decide to own players rather than loan them. And that's what we've applied this season. We haven't gone into the loan market. Henry Doran would have happily stayed on for another year. There was a whole bunch of other wonderful players that were on the loan market, like some of the guys that you can see here that look to be absolutely fantastic, like proper wonder kids from higher division sides. But we haven't dipped into that market. We haven't gone after trying to bring anybody in. We have entirely tried to keep a group that we can actually develop and play in their positions, in their roles over time. So it might look, as we look at the squad here, a little bit weaker than it was this time last year, where we had quite a few players that were sitting around like 4 and 5 star current ability. But in reality, we're going for the long play. Like, we don't necessarily need to get promoted this season. We do need to stay in the Championship. We do want to improve as much as possible. But in reality, I think it's okay at the moment for us to be playing some of our younger players to try and bring them up to that level to maybe go for a concerted push at a Championship title next season. We're not going anywhere with this save. It's going to continue all the way through to the release of FM21. Who knows if FM21 is even going to happen at this point, the way the world is. So I've taken a bit of a deep breath, and we're going to continue pushing towards developing our own players and hopefully coming up with a few of our own cult heroes to get us back up into the Premier League. Before we jump into the players, before we jump into the staff, we are going with our 4-2-3-1 shape. The English Jam is continuing for this season. Again, same as the other years that we've used, we've just got the same tactic, but with 3 different mentalities for 3 different passages of the game. We did the attacking tactic quite a bit at the end of last season, and we're probably going to start that way this year as well, really going after it in the first 10 games. And then we, of course, have the ability to drop back to positive to try and defend our leads, or if we're playing like a higher division side or a team that's quite good away from home, we have the ability to use this cautious tactic, which is a little bit more direct, a little bit more counter-attacking. But for the first time, really, we've got all the players in their preferred roles in the structure, and it's got really good balance. You can see here, everybody is currently comfortable, perfect in their roles that we're asking them to fulfill. That will, of course, change over time. There are some other roles I'd like to get involved. Here, I'd like to get a Messiah, like kind of linking midfield a little bit. I'd like to try and get a deep line playmaker on defend, just to be that number 6 and anchor properly. But for a start of a season, we're in very good shape. Now, as far as the transfers out, we have let quite a few different players leave at the end of last season. We did talk about it in last week's, or a couple of weeks ago, episode about who was going to move on. Some of the players had already signed contracts for next season before the end of last year. Daniel Knowles, fantastic servant for the club. He has moved on to Wrexham, a couple of divisions further down. I think he just hit his limit being 22 years of age now. He wasn't going to make the most of the potential ability that he had, and we weren't playing him a tremendous amount. He's already started quite well at Wrexham, which is good to see. Ricky Dean, a fantastic servant for us over on that right wing, getting us up from League One football, doing well to keep us in the division at a Championship level. But you can see 2-star current ability. He was kind of also at his ceiling. We, of course, wish him all the best. Rafinha was magnificent for us, and I kind of ummed and ahed about whether to get rid of Rafinha or to keep him on, given that we're now playing with like a winger a little bit further forward, which suits him a bit better. But some of the market was quite good this off-season in terms of players we were able to bring in, so it made the most sense to try and cash in on him. And we got 300k for him, which, given that we bought him on a free, once his contract was up at Chelsea back in the day, it's a wonderful profit for a player that's probably not going to hit the potential that we thought they were going to. We will play against him this year. He's at Ipswich. Grant Davies, who was wonderful in fits and spurts, has gone to Blackpool on a free transfer. Jack Donkin, who was a wonderful goalkeeper for us for quite a while, has moved to Lincoln. You'll notice with a lot of these guys, they're sitting around 21, 22 years of age now. They're just not going to make the most of the potential ability they've got. Lewis Wright, who was magnificent for us for a good few seasons, he moves on to Lincoln as well. Callum McLean, a young player that we picked up last season and then sent out on loan, just never really had, I think, the current ability to actually crack it into our first team squad. We got a good offer for him from Wraith. He spent last season on loan in Scotland, never made a first team appearance for us, so we wish him all the best as well, and a tidy little profit from a free transfer. Kieran Preston Kelly, who was fantastic for us at League One level for a couple of seasons. All in all, actually played for us for 4 years, which is crazy to think about. He frustrated me quite a bit, but he did very, very well over the course of time. When you look back at the career, he's gone on a free to Shamrock Rovers over in Ireland, and the other guys that have gone out are just loan signings. I'll go through those when we talk about like the team and who we've brought in and all that sort of stuff. You can see there are quite a few players here that we've actually started paying transfer fees for. There's some big figures here: £4 million, £1.5 million, 900k, 600k, 400k. A lot of these are guys that we actually signed like 2 or 3 years ago, but we've been waiting for them to turn 18 to actually move to England and come across and sign a work contract, a work permit, sign a new contract and join the side. So some of these fees aren't necessarily reflective of their actual transfer value, and some of these are fees that we paid like 2 years ago, so they haven't come out of this year's transfer budget. In total, though, it does look a little bit inflated. 8.75 million spent. It's not quite that much. I think we actually only spent about £5 million. The rest is just cumulative from previous seasons. We have also still tried to look at the free transfer market where possible, and of course we've got a whole bunch of different leagues that are now loaded in as well. 15 nations, 16 divisions. We've got quite a good depth of roster to go through and try and find out little gems hidden in the lower leagues across the world and across the database. We might as well start at the start with our goalkeeper. We've brought in Tim Kubis, who's joined from Energy Cottbus. He looks to be a fantastic young German keeper, only 18 years of age. We paid about his value, 300k, 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Now, of course, last season and for a couple of seasons, we've had keepers that were up around 4-star, 5-star potential. I definitely need to be a bit more patient with Kubis because I know that he's still working his way towards being like a first-team ready player. At 18 years of age, we've got him on a deal for 3 seasons. If it works out, great. If it doesn't and he turns 21 and doesn't make the most of that potential ability, we can move him on either at a profit or at the end of his contract, and that's going to be absolutely fine. But thrilled to have him capped at under 19 level for the German national sides. I think he's going to be wonderful for us between the sticks and already comfortable as a sweeper keeper on defend, which is what we want. Our backup goalkeeper, Vigan Viskonyan, we brought him in last season from Sporting Gijon. He's a full Armenian international, plays and goals for them in most of their friendly fixtures. Didn't get as many opportunities with the first team as I think he would have liked last season, but 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. He's going to be a more than capable backup for us. Also 18 years of age, and we've got him on a couple of year deal as well, so we're not at any risk of losing him without making a profit from the transaction. At right back, we've brought in our second American. Andy Trueblood has joined from Unterhaching in Germany, where he came through their youth academy, but also made a fair few first-team appearances. He's a complete wing-back on support, which we haven't had yet at any point in the series. We've got another one on the left-hand side as well. It's going to be very interesting to see how that role changes our structure and our shape. 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. At 18 years of age, I think that could very quickly become 5-star potential. He's got another year on his deal. He's on very little wages in terms of £800 a week. If he does well, I think we can quite easily sign him to a longer-term deal and hold on to him as well. He's made under 20 appearances for the US national side. No full caps as yet, but I think they could come relatively quickly. Mentally fantastic, 18 aggression, 15 determination, like good ones that you want to see from a young player. Physically just a beast, 16 acceleration, agility, balance, and stamina. He'll get up and down the line all afternoon, and thrilled to have him starting at the right back spot. Our backup right fullback is going to be Justus Fuschbauer, who's one of a couple of different Austrian players that we've brought in from Red Bull Salzburg. Signed him on a free transfer once his youth contract was up. 2-star current ability, 5-star potential. Probably has a little bit more development to go in terms of being ready for senior football. But that potential, 18 years of age, 2-year deal, we can't really go wrong. He's more suited to being a fullback. We will get him working on a wing-back role as well to try and leverage a bit more technical ability out of him, but good decision-making, good leadership, good traits to have for a young player, and he'll be a more than capable backup option on the right-hand side. Over at left full-back, we've signed Marcus Kirsch, an Estonian international. 12 full caps at 18 years of age is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Also a complete wing-back and a left-footed player on that side. I love that natural balance of left-footed players on the left-hand side, particularly in lower division saves. Decent technical attributes, good crossing, good dribbling, good passing. Also a decent player with the ball and will be a key outlet as we try and recover possession and play our way out from the back. Mentally, does need a little bit of work, but I think with time, but only being 18, that will come. Physically, a very solid player, everything there in double figures. 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. Thrilled to have him. He joins from Le Havre over in France. Backup left back is going to be Damir Mance, a Croatian youth international with 14 under-21 caps, also 18 years of age. We picked him up from St. Pauli over in Germany. 2.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. He never made a first-team appearance at St. Pauli. What's really standing out for me is his technical attributes: 14 crossing, 15 dribbling. Mentally needs a little bit of work, physically needs a little bit of work, but more than capable as a backup player. Can already play as a complete wing-back on support, so that kind of nails down that role on the left-hand side of our defence for us. And I think he's going to be wonderful, and no reason that he couldn't get an extended run in the side if Curse's form dips, or if he gets injured, or he's away on international duty, or whatever comes along with that as well. In the middle, it's one familiar face here, Jason Grasinger, who we of course signed towards the January of last season, ended up making 20 first-team appearances for us and scoring 2 goals, did very well as a 17-year-old. He's now turned 18. 3-star current ability, 5-star potential, very comfortable in the central defend role that we're trying to use him in. I'm hoping he can kind of push forward and become like a 4-star current ability player by the end of this season. That would be fantastic. If not, we do have good depth in that position. We've signed a couple of very good players. The other one that will partner him is one of those new signings, George Escobar. We've actually paid £1.5 million for him because I think he looks like an absolute beast. When you look at the key roles for central defender, he's double figures already in all of the key attributes, and his like supplementary ones, these ones in blue, are very much all towards double figures. If not double figures, they're sitting around 9. So I think they're very quickly going to become double figures as well. 3.5-star current ability already. Captain under 20 level at 18 years of age for the Uruguayan national sides. 5-star potential. We've spent a lot on him, but we've got him on a 4-year deal. 17 determination jumps out at me. 17 acceleration, 15 pace. Can play as a covering defender as well if we want to make that adjustment, which I always think is like good to have as versatility from the back line. But for now, we're just going to use him as a central defender on defend. Very happy to have him involved. I think he's an excellent player for us, and hopefully one that we can use to build up and eventually take to a Premier League football if and when we get to that level. Our backup central defenders are going to be Tyrone Taylor, who now makes, I think, his 4th season at the club after signing on a free transfer once his Liverpool contract ended. Still a no-nonsense centre-back. We will use him as a central defender on defend where we can. You can kind of see at 21 years of age now, he is getting towards the bottom end of his potential. 3-star current ability, though, he's more than capable of playing at this level. He did quite a bit last season as well, and he actually becomes one of the first players that we've had in the squad that's now a homegrown player at the club, having spent 4 years at the club prior to the age of 21. The other backup will be Ashley Barry, who we signed on a free transfer from Liverpool. He was quite coveted. He's made 4 first-team appearances for Liverpool at both left wing-back and left-side centre-back, which is where we want to use him. 3-star current ability, 5-star potential, 19-year-old player on a couple-of-year deal. He's on 5K a week, which is quite a bit. I think when we bought him, I thought he might be a little bit more ready for first-team football and potentially could have been a left-sided centre-back alongside someone like Grisinger. But once Escobar came on the market, we really had to go after him. And I'm not unhappy to have Ashley Barry. It's great depth for us, but perhaps we did overpay just a little bit in terms of his wages each week. If worst-case scenario, if it doesn't work out, we can put him back on the market. I'm sure other teams will pick him up because there were a whole bunch of different championship sides that offered him contracts before we eventually managed to secure his signature. Moving into midfield, of course, Franz Wolf, my favourite player of the series so far. 4-star current ability, 5-star potential, still only 20 years of age somehow. He will turn 21 shortly after the season begins. Deep line playmaker on support, he's been a messiah for us as well. Wonderful passing, decent mental attributes, wonderful physical attributes. He is back-to-back player of the seasons in League One and the Championship for the last 2 seasons. He's been magnificent for us. Surely if he continues at this rate, bigger clubs are going to start coming after him. They haven't yet, but I think they will. Captain under 20 level for Germany. Surely if given time, he's going to get full caps as well. Just an absolute beast in the base of our midfield there and the first name on the team sheet every week. Alongside him is probably our best player that we've managed to pick up. We signed him for next to nothing, for 250k from Persepolis over in Iran. His name is Mohammed Hosseini, and slowly, I think when we signed him, he was like 2-star current ability. We have slowly watched over the last kind of 2 seasons him morph into one of the better midfielders available on the market under the age of 18. 4.5-star current ability, 5-star potential, only on 2k a week on a 2-year deal. Wonderful technical ability, 16 passing, the one that jumps out at me there. Good mental attributes, 20 determination, 16 teamwork, and very good physical attributes, everything in double figures, and balance, his key attribute, 17 for that deep line playmaker role. I think he's going to be absolutely magnificent for us. Of the players we've brought in, definitely the current highest star rating, but even if you just look at these traits, these key ones for his particular role, for what he's going to do for us in the lineup, he looks to be absolutely magnificent. Captain under 23 level for Iran. I think he has been called up to the full national team and just hasn't made a first team appearance yet, but 49 appearances and 4 goals for Pasopoulos before reaching the age of 18 is absolutely insane. So I think he's going to be magnificent for us as well. The other midfielders we've signed, George Madrigal, Costa Rican Youth International. Full international. He's got 3 caps for the Costa Rican national side, 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. More suited to being a central midfielder. We will, of course, use him as a deep line playmaker to match the roles of the others in the team. 16 first touch is very impressive. Mental attributes, quite a few there that are sitting around 15 that will hopefully get to that level. Physically does need a little bit of work. You can see here he is very young and he is relatively small, but has played first team football for Saprissa. I think he's going to be a wonderful option to come off the bench or potentially play in like cup competitions to try and get the most out of his potential ability. And the other one, he was fantastic for us last season, Christopher Granger, 21 years of age now, ex-Bolton, ex-Man City junior. Filled in quite a bit for us as both a Messiah and a deep line playmaker in last year's system, but probably just misses out at the moment because he is turning 21. He'll be 22 in the next couple of weeks. And the older you get, the less potential ability you have. So we're going to give the opportunity to some of the younger 18-year-old players in the squad, but he's more than capable of playing week in, week out if required. Move a little bit further forward now. We've been a little bit unfortunate in the way our right wing has worked at the moment. We had a wonderful player who I'll show you guys here named Costa Savic, who we were going to try and bring in. We actually got him to agree terms, and then for whatever reason, the transfer got cancelled on his end. I think he got injured or something like that. So we didn't get him at that point. And then when we went to go back in for him later in the transfer window, we couldn't actually get it signed off because we didn't have enough left in the transfer budget. So keep an eye on Costa Savic. He's one that we're going to look at continually throughout the course of the season. He would have been my first choice to play on the right-hand side, but instead we picked up Charlie Davies from Leicester on a free transfer, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. Technique-wise, not quite where I need him to be. Mentally, not quite where I need him to be, but physically quite good, 16 acceleration, 15 stamina. Good natural fitness as well. I think he's going to do fine on that right-hand side, but I do reserve the right to go back into the transfer market for that particular position if need be. We have kept from last season Stuart Dorber, who played on the right-hand side for us. He's reworking himself to be a right winger a little bit further forward. Made good progression last season, still 3-star current ability, 5-star potential still at 19 years of age. We've got him for another 2 seasons as well. The ex-Man City junior will get his opportunities on that right-hand side throughout the course of the season. But at least for the start of the year, I want to try and give the opportunity to the younger players in the squad, the players with that bit higher potential ability, and see how they go. But he'll be more than capable of stepping in where needed as well. Over on the left-hand side, it's a little bit more optimistic. We picked up Luciano Ramirez on a free transfer from Arsenal. Colombian youth international, capped at under 20 level. Looks to be just a wonderful, wonderful left-sided player. Can play as both a left winger if we move back to our 4-4-2 structure. Can play as a left winger a little bit further forward as well. Good crossing, good dribbling, decent first touch. Mentally, you probably want a little bit more out of him, but he's off the ball and work rated both in double figures, which is what we need. Physically quite good as well. 18 agility, 17 pace. Stamina might need a little bit of work, but I'm pretty happy to have him on the left-hand side and to continue giving him a platform to do well. Already comfortable as a winger on support. We might continue to try and work him to being a winger on attack just to get him taking on defenders a little bit more and whipping balls into the box as best we can. The backup on the left-hand side, also another player that played with us last season, Dave Reilly. We picked him up from Southampton on a free transfer last year. He's 21 years of age now. He will turn 22 throughout the course of this season. It's probably the last year that we'll actually have him here. We'll probably look to get rid of him at the end of the year. But as far as backup players go, 16 first touch, 15 technique, 17 acceleration, agility. He's a wonderful, wonderful player to have come off the bench against tired opposition, or when you need extra depth, or playing in cup competitions, or whatever else. So thrilled to have him for another year as well. At the number 10 role, this is where we have splashed the cash, our record transfer for £4 million. Samuel Borzini, it's £1 million up front, Bonizzi, I should say. It's £1 million up front and $3 million over the next 3 years. Italian youth international, already comfortable as an advanced playmaker on support, which I've really enjoyed that role throughout the course of FM20 in a variety of different saves. If you think back to last week's kind of England series, Phil Foden filled this role tremendously well. 16 first touch, 16 technique. Those are both already improving. 18 determination, 16 off the ball, 17 teamwork. Physical traits need a little bit more, but he's playing at a number 10 role where he's not expected to do a lot defensively. If you forgive the hiccup, we picked him up from Cagliari where he was already making Serie A appearances. So he's probably one of those players that at 19 years of age is ready to make that jump to Premier League football. 4-year deal, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. Thrilled to have him, and I think if we do put him back on the market, we can make a profit relatively easily. So great to have him joining and playing as that number 10 in behind the striker, dictating play, pulling the strings for us. If he can hit the ground running and have a good season, I think we're going to be in very, very good shape. Our backup number 10 will be Sean Wademan. He's the oldest player in the squad at 22. I just couldn't bear really to get rid of him, to be honest. He's been fantastic for us over 4 seasons since we picked him up first on loan from Sheffield Wednesday and then breaking our transfer record to bring him across. We initially played him as a Messiah and then an advanced playmaker, and now we're playing him as a proper number 10, which he's more than comfortable with. Just a very solid player. Double figures for everything that we really need him to do in that role. Again, at 22, he's not going to hit this 4-star potential ability that we know he's going to get to, but as far as squad players go, I think he's going to be excellent for us, and we'll get another year out of him before we give him a bit of a farewell at the end of the season. Up top has been a bit of a struggle. I'm not going to lie to everybody. I couldn't really decide what role I wanted to use this season. I'm kind of, at the moment, really high on pressing forwards when you're playing a 4-2-3-1, but for the time being, we're going to go with the advanced forward role. And Rafael, who we picked up on a free transfer from Atletico Madrid, he made 24 appearances and scored 5 goals last season for their B squad. 14 finishing, 16 first touch, 15 technique. Very good technical player, suited to the advanced forward role that we're currently using. Good mental attributes for what we need him to do. We'd perhaps like to see a little bit more determination, a little bit better positioning, but that'll come with time. Physically quite good as well. 3-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's a big boy as well, 195 centimetres and 83 kilo. That strength, I think, is going to help us quite a bit, holding the ball up and bringing other players into play. He gets the nod up top just ahead of Hernandez de Vargas, who we of course signed in January of last season to play as that deep lying forward role alongside Henry Doran. The 4-4-2 didn't quite work for us last season, but at 18 years of age still, somehow, capped at under 20 level by Brazil, I think he very easily could jump back into the squad. Good technical attributes, just the finishing one is the one that lets him down here, and why I've gone for Rafael. Only 9 finishing at the moment, but he is on a specialist training regime to improve his shooting. There's no reason that he couldn't get a start, get a couple of goals, and get a long run in the side either. Wonderful technique, 16, teamwork, vision, and work rate, all 16 as well. Physically, 16 balance. A very, very good player, and his versatility will be important. At the moment, more suited to a deep lying forward role. We do want to try and get him to be an advanced forward or a pressing forward at some point, which is what he's currently training towards. At 18 years of age, he is very much, time's on his side. We don't have to worry too much about him. If he gets opportunities and does well in the team, we'll absolutely leave him out there. 12 appearances last season, only scored that 1 goal, which I think kind of goes to show that 9 finishing isn't quite where we need it to be. But if we do make a transition back to a 4-4-2, he will definitely come in and play alongside Rafael as a deep lying forward. In the under-23s, we've got a couple of players that we're looking to actually send out on loan. Adrian McJanet, who we picked up from Chelsea, he's gone out already. Christian Hernandez, who we signed from Caracas over in Venezuela, he's gone out on loan as well. We're going to try and get rid of some of these younger players also, just to get them more first-team experience. And some of the guys that we signed like 2 or 3 seasons ago, like this guy Helge Bakker, he hasn't necessarily made the most of the potential that we initially signed him for, so we'll send him out on loan, we'll let his contract play through, and we'll see if he makes any improvements in a loan signing. That's one of the dangers when you sign players like 2 years in advance of what they're actually going to end up being by the time they get to the club. He was one that's kind of a cautionary tale the other way, where he hasn't quite worked out. Mohamed Hosseini, like the best case scenario of that sort of situation. Helge Bakker hasn't quite worked out the way that we wanted him to. But as far as the first team goes, I'm relatively happy. As far as the first 11 goes, I'm pretty happy with the way things have gone. I do have to remind myself to be patient. We're not signing like finished talent that's ready to play and ready to push us up the table. We're definitely playing with players that we're hoping will eventually get to like a 5-star level. So I have to be patient throughout the course of the year. I have to trust the process a little bit. Philadelphia fans will understand what I'm saying there, but otherwise, I think a very good transfer window. We've brought a ton of players in. We look ready to go in terms of our structures. We're keeping consistency with how we finished last season. We've integrated new players into existing structures with players that have played with us previously. And I think giving ourselves a great platform, not just to stay in the division, but hopefully finish in the top half, maybe push for playoff positions this year. Speaking of the league, there's quite a few different teams that have dropped into it so far this season. If we go to the season preview, Fulham, Huddersfield and Aston Villa are the relegated sides from the Premier Division last year. Rochdale, Birmingham and Millwall come up from League One. Somehow, we are still down in 23rd in terms of our odds to win the league. 1,000 to 1 seems pretty offensive, if I'm being completely honest, given how well we performed last year and given that I think we're actually stronger than we were 12 months ago. But I guess some of that comes with, like, we had Henry Doran, who has great reputation. He will have dropped us back down a little bit by losing him. A few of the other loan signings as well that have gone out kind of changed the way the club is perceived. Fulham expected to win the division. Huddersfield and Aston Villa also expected to challenge. That's to be expected given the strength of their squads dropping down from the Premier League. As we look at the Media Dream 11, we don't have anywhere near it. Derby have a good few players in here. They've got the goalkeeper, Tico and Sarr in midfield as well. Oh no, I apologise. So that's Derby County's goalkeeper. Tico and Sarr are from Fulham, who look to be very decent, like a £30 million 21-year-old Brazilian is just mind-boggling. Rogers up front from West Brom, who we encountered a couple of different sides, is leading the line alongside Tyrese John-Jules from Brentford. Sheffield have a central midfielder in here, or Sheffield United, I should say. Apologies, Wednesday fans. Aston Villa have a centre-back that looks quite decent. Sheffield Wednesday have a good central defender. West Brom have a right-back. So you can see, even the Media Dream 11, it's very, very level. Some of these teams projected to finish in the top half or in the playoff positions are very, very good. As far as our key players are concerned, it's Mohamed Hosseini, who is our, of course, highest-rated star player. The new signing at 18, that's very impressive from him. And I think the Wolf is also in there as well. So our midfield is definitely going to be our strongest area so far this season. And if the defence can keep up and if our strikers can find the net, I think we're in for a decent season. And definitely going to stay in the division and be above the media prediction. Now, we do start the season with a game at Stoke. We did play them last season, of course. We did all right against them. I think we won one, drew one. Pre-season has gone fantastically well. We've tried to play teams from other regions at a similar level to us. So you can see there's a couple of reserve sides for French League One teams. We played Nice and beat them 2-0. We drew 1-1 with Olympique Marseille's second team. We did have a pre-season tour of France, which is why some of these French teams are in there. We comfortably beat teams from Ireland as they made their way over to play at home. We drew 1-1 with PSG's reserve side, which isn't anything to be sneezed at. They've got some wonder kids in that group as well. And then finished it off with a 4-0 victory over Bohemians at home before the season gets started. So relatively happy with the way things are going. Everyone's contributing quite a bit to the goals, to the performances. We haven't lost in pre-season. And hopefully, I know anything can happen when you reload the game, but hopefully we can get our season started in this game against Stoke as well. Right, so quite a few debuts. You've kind of seen our side. I'll quickly go through Stokes. They've got a very strong lineup. Pierluigi Collini in goal, 34 years of age, a very, very good player. If you can pick him up in your own saves, he's played Premier League football with Wolves in the last couple of years as well. They've got Jonathan Panzo, who at some point came back to England from Monaco. I think he went to Watford, and now Stoke have picked him up as well. Still only 28. Looks to be an absolute beast on that left fullback spot. Christian Bielik from Arsenal picks up their captain armband. Usually a deep-lying playmaker, anchoring midfield, but they're playing as a ball-playing defender. He plays alongside Leperto from Napoli. Jesus Christ, they've got a really strong squad. They've been busy in their transfer market. John Joe Kenny, who they've picked up via Everton, of course on loan at Schalke at the start of the season, a very good young player if you can get him in your saves. Harvey Barnes is in there. John McGinn's in there. Jaden Braff, I think the left winger from PSV at the start of everyone's saves, very good pace, very good dribbling as well, a handful for any team. And Ben Brereton leading line up top, England Youth International, a very good player at Blackburn at the start of everyone's saves. So they've definitely got a seasoned squad, a squad that has played at a Premier League level and for quite a few years at the Championship. We're of course going with Kubis in goal, Escobar and Garasinger as a central defensive partnership. If they can hit the ground running as a partnership, it's going to help us so much this season. Curse at the left, complete wing-back spot. Trueblood at the right wing, complete wing-back spot. Hosseini and Wolf anchoring midfield together, our two best players. Benizzi will play at the 10, just ahead of them. Ramirez on the left wing, Davies on the right, and Raphael leading the line up top. I do have to remind myself, I do have to be patient. We're trying to develop young players. We're trying to give them a platform to play quite a bit and get better. They're not going to be the finished article right now. So really just any sort of decent performance would be good. As far as telling the playing group, I'm just going to tell them all that I've got faith in them. It's early in the season. I don't want to crush anyone's morale or anything. We want to keep that as high as humanly possible. And even if we don't win, if we can at least get a good performance or an encouraging performance, I think we'll be in a good spot. Stoke looked very, very strong going through that lineup. And statistically, they are all over us at the moment. Benizzi with a free kick in towards back post. It's clipped a post on the way out. If we don't see these stats improve in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to move us back to our attacking structure. We're on positive for the moment, but I do kind of want to go after it a bit. Benizzi, deep free kick towards back stick. Grossinger was in there. Panzo with the header away. Now Braff comes forward. His dribbling is going to be a concern for us. The Wolf does tremendously well to win it back, but then loses possession in midfield. McGinn across to Hurst. Out left now to Jonathan Panzo, who's got space in front of him. Someone's got to get in front of the ball. Stop the cross. Braff with the ball. Finds Hurst. Reverse pass to Braff. He beats one and then he's found the near post finish. Disappointing. First goal of the season for him. And I think he kind of just walked past Trueblood there. I guess that's one of the downsides of having 18-year-olds there. They're not always going to be the most switched on. Oh, it's actually the Wolf, I think, that he ends up walking around. No, it is Trueblood. just skips inside him, finds the near post finish. Kubas can do nothing about it, and we go a goal down early on in this one. Got an immediate highlight from the kickoff. We'll see which way this one plays out. Greisinger into Wolf. Now Greisinger again. The Wolf finds Hosseini. Long ball over the top for Raphael to chase, but it's poor. Galini does well to keep it in play and move it forward quickly. John Joe Kenny to John McGinn. Back to Kenny again. Ramirez has done quite well. Wins possession back on the left-hand side. Can he find the right ball into the box to find Raphael? Instead he goes himself, and Galini didn't have enough pace on it. Galini did quite well to save and hold. Let's go attacking here for the last 15 minutes before the half, and let's use our get creative shout. We've got a throw in here. Davies with the ball. Back to Trueblood. Now Greisinger. Trueblood back to Greisinger again. Forward towards Davies, who can flick it on towards Raphael. Good. Goes on a good run here. He's beaten a couple of defenders. Oh, and he just lacked the finish there. Just had to try and pass it into a corner after beating the defender. But good signs from him, getting amongst it early on. Corner for Stoke, and this could be an area of issue for us. Escobar with a good header away. McGinn resets at the top of the box. Wolf's recovered possession and sends Raphael into the channel. Just slow down, Raphael. You've got to wait for support. He beats one defender. He's got not much of an angle to work at, and eventually the angle, I think, was too big for him, and he hit it straight at Galini. But maybe if he had just slowed down there, taken a moment, he could have played it square ball back across to the midfielders joining in. At halftime, we're a goal down. 5 shots, 2 on target, 60% of the ball for Stoke. We've had 4, 2, and 40%. At least I know what I can do. Aggressively, expect to see a much better showing from you guys. We've already gone attacking, so I don't really want to adjust that at all. But as always, we'll give it 15 minutes. We'll have a look at form, fitness, all that sort of stuff early on in the season and make our subs to go after it a bit. Benisi, free kick in a wide area. Greisinger was there. It was a decent header, but just over the crossbar. Throwing on the right-hand side here for Stoke. Ball back to Bielek. They're very happy to use Galini and his feet. Leperto back to Galini again. He plays out left to Panzo. We just need to keep shape here a little bit. We've got central midfielders closing down wingers. We just need the wingers to kind of just stand up their centre-backs a little bit more. McGinn with the ball at the base of midfield. Ball over the top for Panzo. Knocks it down for Hurst, the only regen in the starting lineup. Trueblood wins it back quite well. Davies looks to send a ball down the line, but Raphael hadn't made the movement. Back to Panzo now. It's a long build-up. Ball over the top towards Burden. He's knocked it down to Alvarez. Someone's got to get to him, and he's gone for the strike, thankfully just wide of the far post there. And we're through an hour, so let's have a look at our subs. Let's just filter by match rating. Benisi struggling a little bit. Maybe Vargas can play there, or maybe we go 2 up top, just as something different. Have him play as a deep lying forward, maybe on support so that he drops into that space a little bit. Andy Trueblood hasn't had the best game. Might give Fushbauer his debut and play him as a fullback on defend. And then I think Charlie Davies has been the one that struggled the most. We might drop Dorba back and just put everyone in their preferred roles just to try and get us through the end of this one. Let's see if this lopsided asymmetric nonsense can actually try and find us an equaliser here. And of course, always risky to do 3 subs with 30 minutes remaining, but you've got to risk it to get the biscuit, and it would be good to start the season with a positive result or a come from behind draw or something to that effect, just to boost everyone's morale a bit. Used their get creative shout as well, Old Faithful after an hour, and it worked for a little bit, but this is the first highlight we're seeing. Ball on the right-hand side, Fushbauer with the throw-in. Now to Wolf. I'm probably going to change some of these pronunciations every time I say them. Dorba with the ball back across towards Raphael. It's headed away. Stoke try and clear. It should get to Escobar, who resets through Wolf in midfield. Now outright to Dorba, back to Fushbauer. Looks for a ball into the channel for Vargas, who gets the touch there first, and then Panzo's brought him down. We're going to have an opportunity from the penalty spot here, and I don't have a penalty taker set. It's going to be Marcus Kirst with the highest match rating. Can the left back get a goal on debut? He cannot. Galini has saved. All right, I've definitely got to sort out our penalty and set piece takers. Definitely. Dorba's going to take this one. It's not a bad ball in, but yeah, Bielek heads away unchallenged, and John Joe Kenny again at the top of the box bursts forward. De Vargas with a good challenge, but it's going to fall to Kenny again, and thankfully the highlight comes to an end. 10 minutes remaining. Let's use our demand more shout. Let's go after it a bit here, boys. Everyone seems pressured by the feedback, so maybe it's a bit early in the year to be using demand more. No highlights for either side as 2 minutes of additional time get added on, and we're through that now. The referee calls full time. It's an opening day defeat. I shouldn't complain too much. I think Stoke had quite a strong lineup, if I'm being honest. They had 14 shots, 7 on target, 56% possession. We had 8, 4, and 44. We had our chances. We just didn't make them play. Assertively, I'm going to say, I can't fault your effort. Nobody expects us to win, but you gave it everything. I just want to keep morale up. I might not necessarily believe with that, but you can see there's quite a few guys here with like orange morale. We should be at this point in the season have a few more that are towards perfect. It's first day of the year. It sees us drop down into 17th position, a 1-goal defeat. Birmingham, Blackburn setting the early turn with 3-goal margins in their games. Youthful FC Isle of Man coming up stack. John McGinn, 7.6 match rating, gets the player of the game. Hosseini made his debut, as did a bunch of other players as well. We'll let the assistant take care of the press conference. And I think as far as our schedule goes, we're probably going to jump forward quite a bit and come back towards the end of September. Maybe this game against Birmingham, this game against Millwall. Birmingham won opening day of the season, so they're currently first. That would likely be very different. And Millwall, of course, we played a variety of times in League One. Always gave us a good challenge. And it'll give us a good marker to kind of review how our early season form has gone. As always, guys, thank you a tremendous amount for watching. The continued support on this series has been absolutely fantastic. If you're a new viewer, if you're an old viewer, if you're just chiming in randomly at episode 81, that's a weird way to do it, but that's fine. Whatever floats your particular boat. You can like this video if you want to continue to support the channel, get our results higher when people search for Football Manager content on YouTube. You can also subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date on all future videos as they continue to be released. As always, guys, I've been Sean, and I'll see you all again in the mixer.